again, people. It's been a long time, but we're back together in the same place at the same time. And we are going to kick things off in a series of videos featuring both of us.
Imagine.
Imagine that. It is going to be a review of Star-Crossed. Star-Crossed.
Sequel to Starfall by W.A. Fulkerson.
And as you might be able to tell, this is a self-published book. We were given the sequel because we read the first one, and I believe we both rated the first one 3 stars.
We did.
The book continues pretty much where the last one left off. We follow twins, Dukassus and Malleus. They were born as slaves in this world. This is a fantasy world created by the author. And in this world, everyone has a star that coincides with their birth, and when their star falls, they can go and receive it and get certain powers and sort of choose what they want to do with their life. And if you're a slave, that means a lot. However, Dukassus' brother Malleus kind of screws him over and
steals his star.
Things go very badly for Dukassus after that, and of course he's very upset. And his mission, at least from a lot of the last book and for a lot of this one as well, is to find a way to get his star or get the powers that he would have received from his star. This one, as I mentioned, follows that journey with him and a cast of characters, some of them new, some of them from the other book. It also includes appearances by Malleus and sort of what's going on with him, as well as Rosé, who is Dukassus' love interest. Good things about this book. There's a couple, not many.
We've identified 3. The first being that though the majority of this 350-page book is not enjoyable, the last 100 pages are definitely an improvement over the beginning. They are definitely stronger, and their characters seem to actually sort of get with it and become real sort of more developed characters than they are through the first book and through the beginning of this story as well.
Other good things? There are likable characters. You do have people that you care about, or creatures that you care about, so that's always good, because it's nice to read a book and at least be able to pick out one person that you care about what happens to them.
And there is one in this story. His name is Incus. He is a giant, unlike some of the slaves who do have the opportunity to become giants when they receive their star that falls. Incus has been a giant his entire life, so he really has sort of been around a long time and gives very wise advice. He's just a very sort of grounded and strong and intelligent character who sort of guides Dukassus as he makes his trip to the source to try and reclaim star-like powers.
Because, as with any book, the main character kind of an idiot sometimes. So Incus has his own flaws, but he is still a very strong character who really helps Dukassus out of some tight spaces sometimes.
Every time.
Yay, Incus!
Every time.
Other good thing about this novel is the strength of the world that Fulkerson has written and has created. There is a map at the beginning, which he obviously drew himself. The idea is there, and the sort of what he has created, it is good. It's strong. It's just how it translates into the novel, it's not always great. You can see what he's trying to do, but it doesn't always necessarily come off exactly how he probably wanted it to.
Especially when it comes to sort of border or territory areas. There's about 3 different, I want to call them more like states within the nation of Pontus. And each one, well, I guess they're nations in a greater kingdom.
Like country, kingdom.
Of Pontus. And they each have a nation star, which much like each individual star, continues to burn, and that is what keeps the nation alive. But there are also moments when Malleus and his cronies, I guess, sort of have to travel outside of Pontus, and it's very unclear how that happens or if there is anything outside of Pontus, because this is just a map of the world that he's created with nothing beyond it. So we're very confused about how other things can exist.
That kind of leads us into the issues that we had with this book. Unfortunately, there are quite a few. One of the biggest things, and something that I did rant about a little bit on Goodreads, if you follow me there, was the amount of times that Dukassus and his love interest, Rosé, referred to each other, or were referred to as his love, her love. There's one point where Dukassus thinks of her as his goddess, and I was just like, no.
What?
No. They're so young. Nobody thinks like that. It's not a healthy way to think about somebody, and it just made me hate them.
Yeah.
Did not want them to be together at all. And it just really angered me. It came up multiple times in the first chunk in the book. Oh my god, was it annoying.
Yeah, and it's clear sort of from the beginning of the first book as well that he has worshipped this girl all through their youth. They've been slaves together. Her mother has gone, and she has been so strong and so brave the entire time that he's known her, and even after they've sort of run away from their slavehood together, she continues to be strong. And that's all well and good, but he does indeed start to worship her a little bit, and that gets brought up in the novel as well.
Which was a good part.
Yes, that was a good part. He needed to be told not to worship her. But I think that also sort of brings us into another very large problem that we had with this novel, was the fact that all of these women are sort of written as objects. Each of the women described in this book is objectified in some way at the very outset of their description. Yeah. They are described by their physical appearance and really nothing else. And I do understand that it is hard to meet someone for the first time in a novel when characters first meet each other and immediately know if that person is smart or clever or funny or witty by just saying hello. But there are ways to describe someone that are not immediately objectifying them, and you can see examples of that in almost every other book ever written.
There was a character that was described as savagely beautiful multiple times.
No fewer than 5.
That's not okay. Like, you can't refer to a female character as savagely beautiful that many times and expect us to find that okay, because you need to expand your vocabulary more. It's okay to call one character beautiful, but basically every woman character that was talked about was called beautiful all the time, and that's like, there was another older woman who was, you could tell she had been beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, Rosé is innocently beautiful. The queen is like powerfully beautiful. I think the queen was probably the closest one to not being objectified.
But we did know that all of the queen's close-fitting black clothing showed her off very well, and this older woman was still, despite her age, pleasant to look upon.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. You gotta move on. Yeah, find other ways to describe women. The final thing that is definitely worth mentioning that we do have a little bit of issue with is the writing of the book at times. Obviously, this is a self-published book, and so it hasn't been edited by, you know, an editor at a publishing company.
Not been edited. The number of grammatical errors and lack of em dashes in this book is unreal.
Yeah.
I had a very hard time reading it when the punctuation that was intended to be used was not what was being used, and it does cause problems when you do have hanging sentences or hanging phrases at the end of your sentences and they carry on into the next line and you're using a hyphen instead of an em dash. It makes the words look wrong, and you actually get a lot of interesting combinations that you probably don't mean.
Such as goddess butt.
Goddess butt.
Yeah.
When you mean she was a goddess. But
this is also another issue that I had with the first one, was that you would have these people speaking so eloquently and in this certain way, and then all of a sudden you'd have another character say, yeah. And it just doesn't fit. Mm-hmm. You have to kind of keep the flow going of that certain language or that certain style, that certain feeling that you want to create with your book. Mm-hmm. It's very jarring when you all of a sudden have this character going, huh? Or yeah? Because that happens with certain characters when they're speaking.
There is a third novel in this trilogy. It is called Starborn and has already been released. It's unlikely, I think, that we will read it, but either way, if you would like to find out about the rest of this book and all of the other things it has and does not have going for it, you're welcome to pick it up. I think overall we would give it 2
stars.
Out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best thing I've ever read.
Not the best thing.
But we appreciate being sent the book. Unfortunately, we didn't really enjoy it, but that's part of the deal. Mm-hmm. We give you a truthful review. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you have read this series, read the first one, let us know what you thought. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about the writing? You know, maybe you picked up on some certain things that we did as well. Let us know.
If you've read the third, let us know what you thought of that one as well. It could be that we're just missing out on reading the third, and that's where everything becomes a little bit more fantastic, so we'd love to know that too.
Mm-hmm. As always, all the links are in the doobly-doo. Check those out if you feel so inclined. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you later. This video has come to a close.